Hello, hello. Today is our live stream again, and while we are waiting for people to join us, there is a problem with our Instagram again. Please let us know where you're watching us from. We are streaming to LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, quite a few places. So we would love to know which ones of those are better for you. Let us know. We are going to discuss a couple of interesting topics today. One was announced in my newsletter over at nsmarty.com, and there is another one that is very interesting from Google as well. So please join, invite your friends. We have a lot to talk about. Hi, Todd. By the way, one of the news that I'm going to discuss today was coming from Todd. He added a link to our event on LinkedIn about people talking to Google on the updates and how to cope with them. So I will touch base on that and share my thoughts. Not all of them are shareable because I have a lot of thoughts that I don't want to share yet. I'm sure there are a lot of other publishers who share that perspective with Google being unfair to independent publishers for more than a year now, which is also hurting their search results as well because they're struggling with quality. Before we talk about that, and while people are still joining us, let's do some quick introductions. I'm Ann Smarty. I have been in SEO for about 20 years, maybe even more at this point. And I've seen it all. I've seen all those crazy updates that Google was doing many, many years ago. So I know where these updates are coming from. I've gone through lots of clients with manual penalties, helped them recover their rankings. I was penalized myself about 10 years ago at this point. So I know all of those unfair things that can be happening to people at this point, and I can share my experience with that and how I coped with those unfairness as well. With me today and always is April. She's our director of social, our designer, our outreach expert, so many roles, and she's great at all of them. She brings non-SEO perspective to these live streams because her profession is everything but SEO. So she helps me understand what people may be wondering on what I'm talking about. Well, for me, I'm struggling with that because I have been in that for so long. Thank you so much, April.
Hey everyone, happy to be here.
We represent Smarty Marketing. That's a company that I co-founded last year. Still pretty new. I'm still figuring out all those difficulties and challenges of being in charge of an agency. So if you're like me, if you have an agency, feel free to get in touch with me. We'll share what we've learned and maybe learn from each other. So with that, we have two topics to discuss today. One is the one that I announced in my newsletter. Please check it out over at nsmarty.com, the latest episode. It has a few links as well of where I was presenting, some of my webinars. Everything is free. So please click those links, see what I was talking about. Last week, I had a webinar with great people talking about AI search and how we will all be losing rankings and organic traffic going forward. It's not new. As we all know, Google has been sending fewer and fewer clicks to publishers for about 10 years now, ever since it became an answer engine rather than a search engine. Many of those queries do not result in clicks. These days, with AI overviews, it's even worse. Just a couple updates about AI overviews now that I mentioned them. First of all, they are no longer showing for logged in users only. This is old news. I missed it somehow during summer. Now it shows up in incognito mode, whether you're logged in or not. And a couple of days ago, Google expanded AI overviews to about 100 countries. and billions of users. I imagine that we will all see fewer clicks from other countries as well at this point, because AI overviews are not very clickable as far as I'm concerned. Maybe we will start measuring them and tracking them better going forward. By the way, I was co-hosting a webinar with the co-founder of ziptie.dev. This is a great tool that is tracking AI overviews, one of very few software solutions at this point that can do that. So check them out. Another thing is that I'm hosting a webinar next week. Please check out my newsletter for the sign up link. It's free to join. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to review websites live. So you can submit your website for a free review. It's hosted by ClearScope, a great SEO tool, and we will be together reviewing those sites. So please check that out as well. And join me next week as well for those live reviews. I'm sure we will find some great gems on how you can improve your site. So before we discuss the topic of today, which is Schema and why it's something that everyone should be using, just a quick update from Todd and Google. First, they hosted a conference, let's say, like workshop with those independent publishers that are so much struggling these days. And there are quite a few reports from that meeting with Google from those publishers. First of all, Google did announce that they would be launching another ranking update very soon. But everyone who was hit by helpful content update should not expect a recovery. Not this update, probably not next update, maybe in 2 updates. That's what they said. For no reason at all. I don't know why. Another comment from Google, which we found very interesting. I saw Lily Ray's comments on that on Twitter, is that many people would come to Google, show them their website and ask, what's wrong with my content? It's great content, why you hit me? And Google said, no, it's not your content, it's not the quality of your content. So then what? Why not? They didn't answer that question. And now at this point, no one really knows what Google meant by that and what even that means. So very funny reactions to that meeting. Many publishers were unsatisfied with that because there were no clear answers. Google did say that they were collecting feedback, but that feedback was not going to be used next update and not even the update after that. So some point they will be using that feedback, but no one knows when. Thank you, Google, for talking to publishers. I would say this. I think these are all initiatives by Danny Sullivan. He's a great guy. He's doing his best. So thank you for at least listening to them and trying to do something to help them. But the general message is just move on. You're not reviving your traffic soon. And if you do revive it, it will not be going to be the level of pre-helpful content update level, because search results have changed so much. They're not sending as much traffic as they used to. Those are words from Danny Sullivan. So find other ways to generate that traffic beyond Google. Start a new website. You have some time to develop it, because apparently you are not going to see any clicks anytime soon. So what do you have to lose? That's my personal perspective of what's going on. I do have one good friend who has a great website reporting on e-commerce and SEO, and he's even struggling with traffic, even though it's a huge brand, and he lost like 50% of traffic during the last update for no reason at all. Everyone loves that content, and everyone loves being part of his newsletter. He has a very useful website, and no one knows why he was hit at this point as well. That's a very old, trusted brand. So everyone, it's not just small publishers, every independent publisher is struggling these days. I would think about other ways to monetize your traffic, because clicks will be going down whatever you do. So find something else. Maybe that could be a digital product, maybe it could be a private community, maybe it could be a premium newsletter. Consider other ways to build your income beyond ads and affiliate links. That would be my suggestion to everyone who has lost traffic from Google. With that in mind, I'm sure we will be discussing helpful content and that meeting with independent publishers more in the future as more reports and news are coming from those people visiting it. Maybe next week we will do something about that as well. Today we have a very specific, very SEO topic that quite a reminder to everyone. It's about schema. So what is schema? Schema is a hidden code, to put it simply, markup, that people do not see, but search engines and AI platforms are using that code to quickly pull important information from the page they're visiting. It helps Google and generative AI platforms. Again, both of them, all of them support schema, understand it. It's a structured markup that is supposed to be giving Google, hey, these are the entities that represent this site. These are the dates. This is what the page is about. This is where else you can find us. All that sort of information that is useful for Google to connect all the dots, not just to Google. Again, both Gemini and ChatGPT, I asked them questions, do you support schema and what types of schema you support? And they were very, very similar answers about yes, schema is very helpful for us as well as for Google. Why it is important is that it is still quite a competitive advantage. Not many websites, not many publishers, not many businesses are using schema at this point, and they do not know how. Apart from just being useful to Google, Google does support a few definitive types of schema that they're using to generate rich snippets. Rich snippets are not featured snippets. I know there is a huge confusion about that online. Rich snippets are those organic search results that are enriched with additional information. We know one of the best known rich snippets is product schema, product structured snippet, which shows price, availability, average ratings of the product that is ranking in Google. It attracts more clicks because it looks nice, it stands out, even if you're not ranking number one. Usually the click-through to rich snippets is great. There is also recipe schema that shows all those minutes, how many minutes something takes to cook, what are the average rankings of people who cooked that using that recipe, and also a very, very good rich snippet if you are in the food blogging or food reporting industry. But beyond those well-supported, well-documented schema types, there are also other schema types that are not very well discussed these days, and people do not use them because they don't know why or how. These include, first of all, organization schema. On every About page, and we had a separate episode discussing the About page, so find it on my newsletter website and smarty.com. Again, please subscribe. So on every website, you will see an About page, and every About page should have that schema that talks about the official name of the company, its alternative name, its contact information, its people behind that, like founders of that organization, and description and the logo of that company. It is important because that shows Google that you are an entity. And we discussed branding last week, why it is important and how to become a Google entity. And one of the steps is to ensure you have that organization schema on your site. There's also person schema. If you have a vocal representative, like Smarty Marketing has April and me, if they are out there in the community reporting on topics, talking about relevant topics, you want Google to know they are connected to that organization, because that is how all the trust signals are transferred from that person to that company. Very important. So anytime you have someone on your website, use that schema on the specific About page to that person, and make sure you mention all the official channels of that person, Twitter, Facebook or X, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, very, very important part of that schema should always be LinkedIn, because that is how verifiable that person is. LinkedIn always talks about the experience, the education, past positions. So Google is using all that information to understand if that person is real and if he or she can be trusted. Person schema, very important. Again, should be embedded into organization schema or vice versa. Anytime you are representing a company, you can say, I'm the co-founder, and then embed all the organization schema into that. We have both of those very easy to use generators on our website, smarty.marketing. Please visit that website, scroll down to the bottom of it, and you will see all them linked. They are free, no login, nothing is required. So you feel free to use those generators to create that schema code for your about pages. Another very, very rarely talked schema type is actually data set schema. Why it is important to our company is because we create those data-driven research, infographics, visualizations for our clients for the purpose of them to attract backlinks. And we also do all the active outreach to make that happen as well. Now there is a data set search people can use to find relevant data, statistics about anything. So if you embed that data set schema to your site, whenever you have any data discussed, any statistical data, whether it's public data or your own data, you start ranking in that data set schema. And for some of our clients, just because that data set schema exists, it ranks number one, because Google blend often for queries that discuss statistics, they blend data set results into organic search results, and how you get additional visibility to your data-driven research or linkable asset. Again, I know just about any website at some point talks about statistics in the industry. If you do not do that, you should start doing that, because that's how you attract links to your website. And anytime you do that, use dataset schema to increase the channels of findability for your research or for your statistics, so that you can attract even more links. Now, there are quite a few other types, very niche types, or very if you're writing a book and you have a page about that book on your site, make sure you have creative work schema on that site, on that page, claiming your authorship of that as well. So there are quite a few other types, very specific types of schema that you should be using. Please let me know if I'm missing any major ones that you can do manually. There are quite a few other types that should be created automatically, should not be done manually. Those include product schema, event schema. We have, if you're on WordPress, there are plugins that can help you set those up. Other content management solutions also have their own apps or built-in solutions to create to add that schema to your site sections that are relevant. So make sure you have a lot of relevant types of schema on your site. It's both helpful for organic visibility and for going forward for AI search as well, because everyone is supporting schema and not many publishers and businesses are using it yet. With that, I'm obviously tired of talking, so I'm ready for your questions. I know April have a few, but if you have other questions, please post them in comments. We do see your comments anytime you ask something. We would be able to discuss it live, right with you. Let's make it a conversation.
So are there any schema-specific guidelines from Google?
Yes, and one, the most important one, something that many websites are doing wrong, is that you cannot add any details to schema that are not discussed on the visible page. So let me describe it like this. Schema is not visible to people. So many websites are abusing it, trying to add some hidden text to your pages that are not visible to people, but just visible to search engines. So the clear guideline from Google is that you cannot do that, and you're not going to be penalized. But I saw many websites losing rich snippets over this guideline. So Google does pay attention. So make sure that it could be more descriptive. Like if you discuss your areas of expertise within the schema, you can describe it differently on the page, talking about what you specialize in, but it should be still there. Whatever people are seeing should be also included into the schema and vice versa. If you include something in schema like contact details, they should be on the page as well. So Google will ignore schema details that aren't also present on the page on the user end. It is generally not, it is not specific to schema. It is the general guideline from Google on anything that is that has anything to do with hidden text or hiding anything. Google does want to see the same page users are seeing. So schema is not an exception here. So yes, Google might ignore whatever you don't have publicly available, but embedded into schema. Again, I've never seen sites penalized over that. But the whole purpose of the schema is to make your site more trusted. So if you start hiding something from people, it's kind of counterproductive. You are not achieving the main goal of using schema. So make sure you follow that guidelines to ensure that all the trust signals that you want to offer to Google or make clear to Google are actually working.
Can there be too much schema? How detailed should it be?
That's something that some of our clients are asking. Can I add some very vague, like not vague, but too many schema properties to be more descriptive? I would say do not do that. And I will explain myself. We add schema to make it easy to Google and AI platforms to pull the most essential information about you, your brand, your website, your company, your content. If you try to add too much to that schema, it again is a little counterproductive. You make it more difficult for Google and for AI algorithms to actually understand the most essential information. So yes, schema should be detailed, but to a point when it's not ambiguous or huge or hard to understand, or include something that is not as important. So make sure, yes, if you're a service, describe your services. If you are an expert, describe your areas of expertise. Add your other social profiles so that Google can connect all the dots and understand that is all you. All of those are very important. But if you start to add your birth date or where countries you visited or things like that, that is something Google does not have to know. So go from there. What you want Google to know about you as an expert, not as a person.
Cool. So have you seen correlations between adding schema and getting more organic traffic to a website?
Definitely, if you start generating rich snippets, you will see more traffic. Those are usually based on schema, unless that's Amazon. Amazon has all different treatment. Google will show rich snippets without Amazon even caring about adding any code to the site. But we are not Amazon. So yes, if you use if you qualify for rich snippets, by all means add schema and you will see more traffic. When it comes to other types of schema that we're using more as a signal than as for the rich snippets, very hard to correlate. These days, anything you do on your site is very hard to correlate with higher rankings. When I added schema, my personal schema to my website, I saw that I could impact my knowledge graph. It was showing fewer social profiles before. I was able to add those to my schema, and Google caught them up and is now showing them. So there are quite a few benefits for sure to adding schema, but the direct correlation to rankings is very hard to achieve because it's just one little signal out of hundreds and thousands of other signals. If you want to see clear correlation between higher rankings and something you do on your site, invest your time in building links. That is still very, very beneficial to rankings and quite easy to correlate, still doable to correlate with higher rankings, because gradually after a few great link building campaigns, you will see growth across the site. And you can always see that if your links are good, of course. Other than that, anything else you do to your site, be it make it faster, adding schema, adding content, updating content, whatever you do on your site, yes, it is beneficial to some extent. We all know that, and we believe that is happening. But to correlate it to obviously higher rankings is not possible because there's so much going on, including all those changing with search results, all those updates. It's always very hard to find anything that's purely working just because it's all fluctuating all the time. So unfortunately, I don't have a clear answer here, but the goal for any SEO, we do everything we can. Whatever of that is working, we definitely cannot tell because we do everything at the same time. Anytime client comes in, we do all we can, including updating content, optimizing pages, adding schema, and we always see gradual growth, but it is very hard to identify which of those specific tactics really worked.
And there's countless competitors on the web. You want to just do as much as you possibly can to stand out.
It's definitely a lot of factors playing, and they are in most cases and always they are playing all together. So we will start seeing here and there all the good things that are happening to the site, and when all those trust signals starting flowing. What is working well for the sites that are ranking well today? Internal linking for sure helps any site to increase rankings and organic traffic. Content updates, everything that is buried and started losing traffic should be updated, and creating more content for sure. So anything, it's very easy when you already have organic traffic and organic rankings. It's quite easy to grow upon that. Much harder when you start from fresh or when you deal with some website that has been hit with whatever update Google did. So maintaining traffic and growing it is always easier than recovering it or starting from fresh.
That gives me like a random question. Does like adding schema to a older content like kind of make it seem updated in Google's eyes, or is that like impossible to tell?
Well, usually content update is about updating the visible part of that what Google is going to look at, and it's updating substantially. So adding new sections, adding new statistics, adding new links, removing everything that outdated. Of course, you can add things like dataset schema to your old statistical status or your old data-driven assets, and that is going to help. Probably it will start ranking even if you add it to the old page, but it's more option. If you are just updating blog post, yeah, you can add schema to it, but it will not be updated. It will still have the old date, so it's very unlikely it will increase in rankings and traffic. So usually it's both. I would suggest update.
Cool.
And with that, subscribe to my newsletter and smarty.com. I publish every does Yoast do that for us with the schema? Yoast does support a few types of schema, but not all of them. I don't think they have organization or person schema. I don't think they have data set schema. So they do have content related schema like recipe schema, event schema, article schema, news publication schema, but I don't think all of them. But I haven't been looking at Yoast for a while, to be honest, so I will have to double check. So, andsmarty.com is where my newsletter is. Please subscribe. I have quite a few great links there for the latest episode for you to join and learn even more. Please join us every week, every Wednesday, 1 p.m. EST on these live events to learn something new, to ask us questions, to provide feedback to us, just to become our friends. We love all our community and we love doing those every week. And thank you so much for being with us today. Please keep your questions coming. I will answer them during the day. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.